Council of Ministers approved 2025-2026 fiscal year budget at the tune of 7 trillion South Sudanese pounds. Government launches regional project to tackle environmental change. And medical reports indicate a rise in fistula cases as 45 women undergone successful treatment. Hello and welcome to SSBC 1 p.m. News, coming to live in the national capital, Juba. Who's me, Abraham Aken. We thank you all for joining us. Now, the Council of Ministers chaired by President Kiir, which has approved the long-awaited national 2025-2026 fiscal year budget amounting to 7 trillion South Sudanese pounds. The endorsement of this fiscal year budget underscores the need for decisive and coordinated action to confront ongoing economic challenges in the country. The President directed the ministers to accelerate developmental programs and ensure full alignment with national priorities. Our presidential reporter, Leandro Lotok, has more on this story.
The Council of Ministers reconvened on Friday after months of pause, with President Salva Kiir Mayardit at the helm, approving a 7 trillion SSP budget for the 2025-2026 financial year. During the meeting, President Kiir called on ministers to elevate performance across all institutions, stressing accountability and efficiency as central pillars of government service delivery. In a major policy shift, the cabinet resolved to ban unnecessary tax and duty exemptions, citing billions lost through loopholes that have strained national revenue. Speaking to SSBC after the meeting, Information Minister Michael Makwei-Lueth said the cabinet has instructed the Minister of Finance and Planning to table the budget before the National Assembly without delay.
And thereafter gave us a briefing on the proposed budget, that is 2025-2026 fiscal year. In his presentation, he told us that the resource envelope is 7 trillion South Sudanese pounds, 7 trillion South Sudanese pounds, with a deficit of 1.5 trillion South Sudanese pounds. However, he promised that they will improve on the revenue collection so that they are in a position to cover this deficit, which is 1.5 trillion South Sudanese pounds. After thorough deliberation and the consents of the members of the cabinet approved the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget as presented and directed the Minister of Finance and Planning to table it before the Transitional National Legislative Assembly for consideration.
Back in the meeting hall, ministers listened to a comprehensive report from the Minister of Finance and Planning detailing the country's current economic situation. The minister outlined strategies to revitalize the economy, cushion citizens from hardship, and reinforce core financial systems.
His Excellency the President gave the cabinet directives that we, as from now onwards, if we are serious and we need to implement the agreement, we need to implement whatever budget we have. We want to improve on our economic situation. It is our duty to make sure that whatever collections are made correctly and deposited to the chest. No, this idea of exemption, which is taking most of our revenues, the exemptions should be stopped and should be for a specific, this power it should be only limited to specific individuals on certain circumstances so that we avoid losing revenue and giving exemptions to people who do not deserve to be exempted. Business people being exempted instead of us collecting revenue from them for our services, we are doing the opposite. He also directed that as from now onward, nobody is allowed to sign any loan against the government unless he is an authorized person. This came as this observation came in because it has been observed that there are some individuals who have been signing millions of dollars on behalf of the government without any authorization. So His Excellency directed that we must be very careful this time and make sure that we respect our laws and implement them as they are.
The session also highlighted critical infrastructure developments. The Minister of Roads and Bridges, Simon Mijok, presented progress on the proposed South Sudan-Ethiopia highway, a strategic road set to link South Sudan to the port of Djibouti. Once completed, the road is expected to open a new corridor for transporting South Sudan's crude oil to international market.
This, of course, was a road construction agreed between the government of South Sudan and the government of Ethiopia. With this, all the processes have been implemented, except that there are some issues that are still outstanding in terms of operationalization of the project itself. But it is expected that by early next year, the project will start and the construction of the road will start.
The Cabinet further issued a firm directive banning any individual or institution from signing loans on behalf of the government without following full legal procedures, a move aimed at protecting national financial integrity. With approval now granted at the executive level, the 7 trillion SSP budget moves to Parliament for debate and adoption as the government works to steady the economy and strengthen public institutions in the year ahead. Alejandro Lotok, SSBC News, State House.
For that report now, Juba and Washington have renewed their commitment to deepening bilateral relations for the mutual benefit of the citizens in both nations. This comes in a meeting between the Presidential Advisor on National Security Affairs, Tudgalwak Manime, and the U.S. Ambassador to South Sudan, Michael J. Hadela, which focused on addressing South Sudan's current political and economic situations. Ambassador Hadela reiterated the United States' continued support to peace efforts and national stability. The Presidential Advisor on National Security Affairs, Tudgalwak, assured the U.S. diplomat of the government's commitment to peace.
Our position on peace is unambiguous and clear. We call for dialogue. Personally, I know that had I been born South Sudanese, my life would have already touched on 4 civil wars. This country does not need any more war. This country needs peace. We discussed the importance of the use of public revenue, especially to pay salaries for soldiers, police, security personnel, civil servants. I raised our grave concern about the interference and the abuse directed by some officials at county, state, and regrettably even national levels at humanitarian assistance, UN personnel, and other foreigners who are here to help.
The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Dr. Joseph Gangakech, has commended the legal administration and the public prosecution for effectively enforcing the law despite the existing challenges. Dr. Kech inspected legal administration and the public prosecution premises. SSBC's Martin Justin Paul Kose compiled this story voiced by Manuel Duku.
Reforming legal system, sharing vision and achieving justice to without fear is the motto of the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. On his first visit to the legal administration and public prosecutors at the Central and Northern Division Police Station, addressing the reception ceremony, the public prosecutor Sarafino Simon Mezan explained the nature of the work and the challenge to theirs to work activities.
Construction of offices for public prosecution attorneys separately from police stations to avoid inconvenience. Provide the public prosecution attorney with mobility. There is a need for capacity building in terms of criminal and civil cases in addition to English language. Lack of forensic laboratory in the country.
The public prosecutor Deng Ashwil Adija asked all the public prosecutors to uphold their appearance and provide service to the public according to the law.
In all, that reflect our image as professional legal counsels or the public prosecution to represent our minister at all levels. The tools are when you have your salary at time, or when we have our emoluments and all this, those are not there. But also, you are mandated to do your professional, although if you don't have that, do your duty.
The Undersecretary in the Ministry of Justice, Mary Ajit, pledged the legal administration and public prosecutors for its role in the legal system. She urged all the public prosecutors to deliver legal services to South Sudanese.
They are accused throughout with corruption. And this is something we will not remove him from our hand. But my advice is that let us clear ourselves. Let us do our work in diligence. We took an oath and we say we will do our work without fear and favor. So please, let us hold that principle.
Dr. Genga Kech pledges to address the challenges to public prosecutors and the legal administration and strengthen capacity building programs for addressing matters to do with artificial intelligence.
If it weren't for you, justice would not have been served to our people. We also know under the criminal justice system that prosecution is quite difficult if you have not gathered evidence. So we said that one area of priority would be the criminal justice reform. This we will do together with you, where you will tell us what challenges you experience and how we can solve those. The second and most important is your capacity strengthening.
The minister's visit is part of the pledges made upon assuming office to acquaint himself with the nature of the work and associate challenge and to adopt strategic policies to develop and advance the justice system in the country.
The Minister of Transport, Rizk Zakaria Hassan, and a delegation of the civil aviation operating companies have discussed the implementation of a Kun International Airport project. Discussions set up legal and technical basis for airport development and construction. SSBC's Justin Polkose reports.
The dream for constructing a Kun International Airport filtered from Wooncoach for Construction Company in 2022. Work on the facility unfolded without any design and other engineering and technical documentations. With the new administration in the Ministry of Transport, the background of the project is now being questioned. A technical team has been sent on the ground, and based on their report, the ministry has terminated the contract with Wooncoach and entered into an agreement with Loyal Construction Company effective from 20th December 2025. In a statement shortly after the meeting, the Undersecretary in the Ministry of Transport, Cesar Oreja Marcos, says a Kun International Airport is an honor to the President for his remarkable national leadership strategies. According to him, the ministry is working hard to guarantee success of the project through a new contract.
As the ministry, we have resolved that it is asked to make sure that this Akon Airport is a legacy to our President of the Republic of South Sudan, General Salva Kiir, who have actually brought this country from scratch. So we have to make sure that we honor him.
The project manager of Kilimanjaro Company Limited, Engineer Philip Ton, says the company is reviewing the airport design based on the environmental nature of the area.
The two sticking point that we are here to discuss and that we can iron out and complete the works is to look at the design comprehensively. The area is waterlogged, it is water-prone and swampy. This called for a detailed design, and more especially the hydrology of the area.
The director of Loyal Construction Company, David Matuli, says the company possesses high technical capabilities to implement the project according to the requirements and standards of the International Aviation Organization.
As a Loyal Construction, we've been at the airport for the last 3 years. We've gone through the designs, we've gone through the initial construction, and I can confirm that the designs right now they are 75% complete. We have the right engineers for hydrology, we have the right engineers for pavement, and whatever is remaining will just take a very short time.
Martin Justin Paul Kose, SSBC, Juba.
Government and the African Union have reaffirmed commitment to collaborations aimed at enhancing regional peace and security. This follows a meeting between the Undersecretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and the head of the African Union to South Sudan, Abdulwali Mohammed, on deepening bilateral collaboration and addressing the ongoing challenges facing the nation. Both officials reaffirmed their commitment to advancing shared priorities to foster regional peace and development. We apologize for technical problem there. A new regional initiative titled Managing the Impact of Environmental Change and Conflict on Mobility in Eastern Africa has been launched in Juba. Speaking during the launch, the Undersecretary in the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Jaden Tongun, emphasized the ministry's responsibility to protect and conserve the environment for both present and future generations. It stated that ensuring the people's rights to a clean and healthy environment remains a core government's commitment, rather.
It is worth noting that the Ministry of Environment and Forestry is assigned the responsibility of protecting and conserving the environment for the present and future generations, and to ensure that the right of the people of South Sudan to a clean and healthy environment is provided, and that the basic needs of the present and the future generations is not compromised.
Movements. The European Union and its partners, we are committed to strengthening the resilience and the adaptive capacity of displacement-affected communities. In Bentiu, for example, we are working alongside our partners to support community affected by recurrent flooding and conflict, helping them to strengthen their ability to adapt and to rebuild their lives.
Break, and we shall be back with more stories. Please do stay with us. Welcome back. Now, gender authorities have produced a Gender Development Index report on women's performance and development. Gender Undersecretary Esther Kere Iluzai describes the achievements as evidence-based policymaking. Find more on this story by my colleague Abati Simon Godo.
Data analysis is critically important in identifying and addressing systematic inequalities in women leadership representation, making informed decisions, and unlocking significant socio-economic potential. The Undersecretary in the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare, Esther Ikere, impresses upon gender actors to continue generating data for achieving comprehensive gender equality to enhance economic and other women contributions in administering and improving overall development outcomes.
Yes. We want to get the information about the women in the senior management in the NGOs. Yes. Okay. Then they will get them. Okay. So that's the only way we can get the data. If we don't...
Members in the gender development focal groups have mapped out targeted development performance data to help in identifying specific skills gaps and training needs.
We know the numbers of women in security sector. Female affairs, we know. But the female affairs, our director doesn't know how many women in SSPA, only a few numbers.
The first one, right to non-discrimination and equality, include right to marriage, rights in marriage.
So we said 1,
because we have development of plans for the implementation.
The director of the National Transformational Leadership Institute at the University of Juba, Angelina Bajuba, outlines the importance of data in empowering women through better performance and development opportunities, creating positive ripples throughout basic society needs.
The information that has been gathered here in the past 2 days help us to develop the African Gender Development Index report for South Sudan. This is the first report of its kind, being it in education, being it in health sector, being it in the public institution, but also areas of economic empowerment.
Analyzing data for women's development agenda is a critical tool for moving beyond subjective evidence to creating systematic, measurable changes that benefits women as individuals, as well as organizations and societies generally. Abadi Simon Godo, SSBC News.
Governor Jacob Dollar Ruot commends the World Bank Group for supporting developmental projects in Upper Nile State. Governor Dollar made this statement during a meeting with the World Bank delegation in the capital Malakal. The World Bank Senior Specialist in Urban Development and Disaster Risk Management, Urban Resilience and Land Unit, Lucas, confirms their commitment to supporting developmental efforts in various counties of the state.
This morning I received a delegate from World Bank with partnership of IOM, basically on the ongoing projects that have been started old, and this phase 2 they come to see the progress of how this project is being implemented. They have manually targeting 4 counties under the Upper Nile State, which they have mentioned: Rong, Malut and Peshuda and Maband. So in the term of services delivered in the educational sector and health sector, on our side of the government, we will cooperate with them. And we will also allow them to move freely. There are some elements that want to take law into their own hand, so we will not allow them, and we will not tolerate those such activities as the government. We will be there to support our community, and we will be there to stand to cooperate with our UN agencies and our partner. And we are also appreciative for the services that they deliver and the commitment that they have shown that they want to serve the community.
So we're here to meet with government partners to see the progress of the project in terms of delivering infrastructure and basic services in 4 counties in Upper Nile State, which include Fashoda, Renk, Baliet, and Maban. So this is a $150 million project, and it is in the last year of implementation. It's a 5-year program, and we're here to see the progress of the civil works related to health facilities, education facilities, and of course investments in flood risk reduction. So Fashoda, among other counties in the state, are heavily impacted by recurrent floods, and we are here to see the progress and see whether these investments are serving the needs of the.
Crossing to northern Barakazal State, where government in a meeting chaired by Governor Simon Uber Mout has discussed plans to upgrade Nyamlel Primary Health Care Center in Awul West County. This follows a memorandum of understanding presented by the State Health Minister on upgrading the health facility into county hospital. The State Information Minister Gabriel Dengel told the media that the meeting also discussed the general security situation in the state.
Today's council sitting number 16, chaired by His Excellency Governor Simon Obermahut, Honorable Minister of Health has presented a memo on the upgrade of Nyamlel PHCC to Nyamlel County Hospital. With a budget of 304,219. The Council deliberated on the memo and passed the resolution. On the side of the security situation, there is a camp everywhere, including 2 municipal counties. And
Crossing to the Pibor administrative area, where the first ever Commissioners Forum has recommended tougher measures to tackle cattle raiding and the abduction of children and women, persistent triggers of intercommunal conflict in the region. The forum, chaired by Pibor Chief Administrator Gola Boyoy Gola, also discussed a range of issues concerning development and stability. Gola stresses the importance of the forum in reuniting collecting efforts to address cross-border challenges, inadequate access to essential services such as education, healthcare, and clean drinking water, poor infrastructure, as well as the devastating impacts of floods, droughts, and food insecurity.
It is very paramount. Although also engaged with leadership and have accepted this road should be constructed. Is already in pipeline. Mujared Machar after will be constructed. Shabaka bita Otalo kan motara namshi nishilu mana sawa. Anakuta he visit my presidential envoy to Otalo, but we did not agree on timing. We have agreed Mazul with the National Communication Authority.
Government has contracted the Rhino Star Construction Company to rehabilitate the Nadapal Road to ease movements of goods and people. Rhino Star Construction Company Managing Director Peter Temngor led his team to assess the road, where he said once completed, the road will ease movements of people and goods between the two countries. The Chief of Immigration at the Nadapal checkpoint, Lieutenant Colonel Juang Ajak, commends the efforts of the Rhino Star Construction Company for improving roads, which he described as a crucial step in fostering regional connectivity.
Kan mala ay even immigration kunta bani zato. Mana mala kana share de lakado majal lakad na rus kalas majakal peta juba kalas inta. Mana jer kuli budata na kujabe jai. Achani ne de one way traffic. You can come from Nairobi direct Juba one day. Ude ada chokolde anina bamul ginupin. Kena chile mutual tablet na turota na kulu. Anina chabta jumru jindan.
أنا مشكور لك شديد الزيارة بتاع الإنجنيير تيم مع التيم بتاعه المحل ده محل الكويس ونحن قاعدين فوقه نحن بحفظ على الجاد بتاع السلام بتاع الودود جنرال لويس لبون وعمل شغل كويس مع محفظ مشينا هسه السنة كامل بدون مشاكل ويا نحن دايرينه الناس الكينيا زي التركانا بيجي من اللوغشوغو بيمشي لنايروس والناس بتاعنا من نايروس بيقوم بقرانه.
In South Sudan, hundreds of women continue to suffer in silence from a preventable childbirth injury known as obstetric fistula, a condition that leaves them physically wounded and socially isolated. But at the Lutheran Reconciliation Medical Center in Juba, hope is returning. Through a special surgical campaign, more than 45 women have undergone successful fistula repairs. SSBC's Leila Osman reports.
Years of silence, the fight against obstetric fistula. Across South Sudan, thousands of women live in silence and pain, suffering from a preventable childbirth injury known as obstetric fistula. It is not just a medical condition. It is emotional, psychological, a wound of the body and the soul, often coupled with isolation. At the Lutheran Reconciliation Medical Center in Juba, hope is being restored. During this year's October campaign, doctors have successfully operated more than 45 women suffering from fistula. This is the story of Patricia, one among many whose lives have been torn apart by this silent suffering. Patricia went through 5 hours prolonged labor before the birth of her twins, which is her second birth after the first one.
But as long that one need the ambulance exactly,
because the child come out. That thing does not need border, it needs ambulance. But there's no any situation to call the ambulance to reach there, and then he got her left there.
Patricia's experience mirrors that of thousands of South Sudanese women enduring prolonged obstructed labor far from hospitals or skilled birth attendants. The pressure of the baby's head cuts off blood flow, causing a hole between the birth canal and bladder, sometimes even the rectum. For Martina Iroma, now 28 years, the nightmare began at just 15 years old during the birth of her first child, a baby she tragically lost after 3 days of labor.
My life among people was difficult. They insulted me and told me to go away. Even my husband left and married another woman. When I returned home, my mother-in-law insulted me until I came to the hospital.
For women like Martina, the suffering is not only physical, it is social, emotional, and deeply isolating. And worst of all, this is the 7th surgery. Martina has lived in silence for many years, hoping this will be her last surgery.
They operated me during birth, and urine was just flowing like that. Then that time I stayed. I'm thinking, really, will my husband come? Will the urine stay like this?
You have to go to school. This non-violence must go to community dialogues. You have to engage in the communities and educating information and make sure that they send the client to the nearest facility for screening.
From the depth of despair, women like Patricia and Martina are rising again, reclaiming their dignity and their voices. As the doctor puts, obstetric fistula is preventable with safe deliveries, education, and compassion. No woman should ever suffer in silence again. Leila Osman, SSBC.
And that story brings us to the end of our news. From me, Abraham Ken, and the whole team here, we thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.